Hi Mario,
Hey,
Hi,
Mr.
Mario.
Jorge, ¿cómo está?
muy bien. I am good.
I haven't
We,
seen you in a long time.
I know I've been between because of we had all of the wedding things going on. I was going to all of the Sheva brachos, then they left, then my grandson's birthday, so I've been running around. But
Oh, okay.
Baruch Hashem, I've kept up with the Daf.
Okay.
So
Mario, did you send me an email today?
No, just erase it. All my emails were
Hacked?
hacked.
You got hacked by hack?
I spent the day changing passwords and
Yeah.
canceling orders that I didn't put in. I went to
oh
the bank
no.
and they helped me, and then I there were three purchases to be delivered to Mario Horowitz in what was it, New Hampshire or somewhere like that. I never been there.
Mario,
Mhm.
Mario,
Yeah.
you mentioned about this new Daf Yomi.
Say it again.
You mentioned something about the new Daf Yomi.
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I didn't.
You said yesterday about the new Daf Yomi with in 9 months to learn the whole thing.
Ah, yeah. It's called
What is it called?
18. It's like this. 18440.
1-8 F-O-R-T-Y.
40. 40 is written in words. And
I
that's
I
the.
let I tried to find it. There's nothing there.
Oh,
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
We are on Kuf Tes Vav, 115. We said, how do we know? We're trying to derive the source. How do we know that Basar B'cholov is Osir Bahana? So the Gemara said, Kol Shati Afti, anything that I said is a Toeva is Osir Bahana. Elameata Maisa Shabbos Litzru. If somebody cooks on Shabbos, so you are not allowed to eat it, but other Jews can eat it. So, but violating Shabbos is also called a toeva. So why don't we say that that's osir bana? Da'atiyavti lecha. Amar kra ki kadosh hi lachem. He kodesh. Vein maseh kodesh. The Shabbos is kodesh, but not the Meiser Shabbos is not kodesh. Choyresh b'shor v'chamor. You're not allowed to plow with the combination of an ox and a donkey, two different species. Or v'choisem pipor v'dashba. You're not allowed to muzzle a cow when it threshes. You have to allow it to eat, otherwise it's sar balechai. But let the product of being choresh b'shor v'chamor, or the product of dosh by a par that is choisem, litzru da'atiyavti lecha. These are also things that have been called a toeva, yet it's not osir bano. Hashto ma Shabbos techamira, and not only that, Shabbos, which is if you violate Shabbos, b'mezid you're put to death, or you get kores if you do it b'shogeg, or no, unless you bring a korban chatas. So it's more chomer than choresh b'shor v'chamor. Those are only lavim where you get malchus. So my Shabbos techamir maseh mutorim, products that are made on Shabbos are mutter hani lo kol shekain. These should be lo kol shekain permitted. Then the Gemara asks, what about klai zroim? When you mix, not klai akarim, which is mixing wheat with grapes, but when you mix seeds, the halacha is it's not asr bano. Litzru da tiafti lechahu. It's also to it. Minigali rachmona gabi klai akarim pentik dash. That pentukad h. That if you create klai akarim, you have to burn it. Mechlal the klai zroim sharu are permitted bano. Freit the Gemara ve'ema klai akarim asurim bein bachila bein bano. The mixture of wheat and grapes, you can't eat, you can't have a klai zroim. Also, maybe bachila asri banar sharu should also be asr. Iskish l'klai behema. No, we make a hekish between klai zroim and klai behema. T'chsiv behem d'chalo tarbia kilai. Do not mate two different species. Sad chalo tizra kilai. Ma behem t'chayot semi mena muteres. The behemoths that come out of a different species was permitted to eat and to have an afsat chayot semi mena muter. Uklai behema gufay minalon. How do we know that klai behema are prohibited? Midos rachmana kloim legavoa. You're not allowed to bring klaim by animals as a korban. Mechlad lehedyot sharu. So to regular non-hegdish person is permitted. The Gemara continues to ask. Also vespino. We're not allowed to shecht a mother and his child on the same day. It's prohibited. However, nowhere does it say you can't eat one of those animals that you shech. You violated a law if you did it. But it doesn't prohibit you to eat it. And the Gemara wants to know, maybe litzer. Maybe it should be prohibited. Midos rachmonim mechusr zman legavoa. So the Gemara says, no. A mechusr zman, if you're not allowed to bring such an animal as a korban, you got to wait till the next day. That implies that for a non-hegdish, for a regular person, it's permitted. Johnny, we're on Kuf Tes Vav, about 5 lines from the bottom. Shiluach HaKein. We had a mitzvah last week that if you come across the mother bird in a nest, before you take the eggs, you have to chase away the mother bird. Now, there's no prohibition to eat either the mother bird or the eggs, but litzer. But it's a toeva. So the Gemara says, problem is, if the mother bird would be prohibited and you chased it away, nobody's going to know that it's prohibited. They're going to come to eat it. The Torah wouldn't have come up with something that leads to a mistaken chet. Okay. Amr Reish Lakish, another source, Minan labasar b'cholov she'asr, that basar b'cholov is also asr b'anoah. Talmud Lomer al tochlu mimenu na. By the Korban Pesach, it says, don't eat from the Korban Pesach raw. Uvashel muvushal. You have to eat it roasted, not cooked. Now, it already said uvashel. What's the double language bashel mevushal? Mevushal matamud lomer. Mevushal lomer lecha. Yesh lecha bishulacha shu kazeh. There's another cooking that is usr, that you're not allowed to eat it. So this is a source for how do you know that you can't eat basar b'cholov? Reish Lakish is saying that there's another bishul, just like by the Korban Pesach, you can't eat it if it's cooked. And what is the other thing? Basar b'cholov. Amar Rav Yochanan. Ku'urazu sheshona Rebbe. What, you don't like what Rebbe taught? It says, lo tochlenu. This is, you're not allowed to eat blood of korbanos that are posel. Now, we know that. There's already a prohibition of eating blood. So the Gemara says you take it out of context, and you say that it's speaking b'basar b'cholov ha'kos b'daber. Rabbi learned that lo tochlenu refers to eating basar b'cholov. Maybe it refers to other prohibited things. Amrit. Tseilomad. One of them is Dover Halamed Min Yono. That you learn a halacha where it's written. In its context. Bamea Kosuv Medaber. Bishnei Minin. One of the examples, if you have a psula mugdoshim, you have a shlomim that gets a bechor, that gets a mum. So you redeem it, and you could eat it as chulin, but you have to treat it as partial hegdish. You can't shear it, you can't work it. So in a sense, it's two minim. It's two kinds of species, chulin and hegdish. So afkan b'shnei minim. So the context that the lo sochlenu is by psula mukdashim is two minim. So I'm going to bring you another example of two minim, basar b'cholav, that you can't eat. For the Gemara, and Rabbi Yochanan asked Reish Lakish, why didn't you accept what Rebbe taught? The Gemara says, yeah, that would have only taught me that I can't eat basar b'cholav. Aval ba'no lo. Because I'm allowed to benefit from those, from an animal like that. Kamashmalon, that mevushal, that it's aser b'achila and it's aser b'hana, which is the same din by a korban pesach that's cooked. Frag the more of a Rebbe, Reish Lakish is right. If you have a psulei amugdashim, if you have a shlamim that got a mum, so you're allowed to have a no from it, you can eat it. So where does Rebbe learn that you can't have a no from basar b'cholav? He's learning basar b'cholav lo sochlenu. But basar b'cholav also has isra ano. Where does Rebbe learn that? And for the Gemara, nafkile mehach nemar kan ki am kadosh atal Hashem. Right before it says lo savashel gedi b'chalevimo, it says ki am kadosh atal Hashem. V'nemar lahalon v'lo yeh kadesh mibnei Yisrael. This is a male prostitute. Malahalim bano. There, the prohibition is hana. What is prostitution involves having relations. That's benefit. That's hana. Avkan bano. Rebbe learns from there that basar b'cholav is also prohibited bano. Okay. So we're bringing multiple sources from different tanoim where they learn that you're not allowed to eat or have a noah from basar b'cholav. It says, lo sochlu kol nevela. Don't eat nevela. What do you do with it? You give it to a ger, or you sell it to a non-Jew. And amrit Torah kishintim karena, lo tevashlana v'sim karena. It wasn't just don't sell it and cook it with milk and sell it. You can sell the nevela to an akum, but you can't cook it with milk and sell it. Dvei Rabbi Shmuel Tana, lo savashal gedi b'chalevi mo sholosh pamim. In the Torah repeats that language 3 times. Echad lisra achila, one is to tell you can't eat it. Echad lisra no, one says you can't benefit. Echad lisra bishul, one says you can't cook it. By the way, this is the primary source. If you look in the Tur, the Shulchan Aruch, they base their halacha on this Tanad Rabbi Shmuel. So, for example, I remember working once with Tzvika on a shiur. There was a chemist in Switzerland that was working with various recipes for chocolate, and one of them involved cooking something that was fleishik with milachik. So there's an isser. Separate from eating it, and you're not allowed to cook it. Cooking meat with milk is prohibited, period. Tanya. Isi ben Yehuda Omer. Inay lebasar b'cholav she'aser How do I know I can't eat basar b'cholav? Nemerkan ki am kadosh ata v'nemer la'olam anshe kodesh tiyun li uvasar basadet trefa lo sochelu. So kodesh. And it says you can't eat meat that's a trefa. Malal an osir, you can't eat it. Avkan osir. V'en li alabachila. That tells me I can't eat basar b'cholav. Ba'ano aminayim. How do I know I can't benefit from basar b'cholav? Amrit kava choymer. Uma orla shlo nevda ba'avera. Now, the first 3 years of a fruit, those fruits are called orla. You're not allowed to eat it, and you're not allowed to benefit from it. Now, what avera was done with this fruit? Nothing. They just grew on the tree. Yet, asur bana, basar b'cholav shenevda ba'avera. You violated an avera. You went ahead and cooked basar b'cholav. Ein odin she'asur bana. So that's a kava choymer. However, you can break the kava choymer and say mala orla shekain lo isa lo shasa kosher. Orla never had a permitted thing. Orla has been prohibited from the moment it was created. Basar b'cholav, both the milk and the meat were permitted separately. They became prohibited when you mixed it. However, chametz bepesach yochiach. But then you could learn from chametz. Chametz is osir bana, and haisa lo shasa kosher, osir bana. So with chametz, we could learn instead of from orla to the basar b'cholav. However, malach chametz bepesach shekein onish kares. But basar b'cholav, the punishment is only malchus. If you eat chametz b'pesach, you get kares. However, klaya kerem yochichu. Now, when you mix wheat with grapes, so that's klaya kerem. It's osir bana, but there's no kares. She'ein onish kares v'osir bana. So we've still resurrected a kava choymer. Well, if you have a kava choymer, lama li gzeira shava. Why did he Isi ben Yehuda start off with Kiyam kadosh ata v'anshe kodesh tiyun li? He made a gzeira shava. What do I need a gzeira shava for? When we have a righteous kava choymer, less kulika kava choymer meola. Ma'orla shlo nevda ba'avera asura ben bachila ben bana. We started off by saying orla has no avera was committed, yet you can't eat it or benefit. Basar b'cholav shenevda ba'avera. Ein adin shasur ben bachila b'yain bana. So the Gemara says, the kava choymer by itself would not have been okay. Mishum dikal meimar choyresh b'shor v'chamor. If you plowed a field with a ox and a donkey in the yoke, which you're not allowed to do, or choisem pipor v'dashpa yochiach, you muzzled a cow and he threshed, which you're not allowed to do. Shenevda b'hem avera. Here, the reasoning you used about basar b'cholav, that an avera was done and therefore it's prohibited. Here, an avera was done yet sharu. You're allowed to consume the wheat that the cow threshed while he was muzzled. So that breaks the kava choymer. So that's why the Gemara seems to suggest you have to have a gzeira shava as well. So we brought chametz, and we said chametz is kares. Because orla, we said chametz had a shasa kosher v'osir bana. But then we said chametz is a problem because it's kares. Because you have klaya kerem, which has no kares, and yet it's osir bana. Let's go back to orla. You could say just like by orla, or you could say at tzad hashava between klaya kerem and orla, that they're both. What do they have in common? That they are osir bana. It's a good kasha. Amar Ravashi, Mishum dikal meimer nevela tochiach. because like Orla and like Klaya Kerem, they're Osir Bachila, but Muteres Bano. So that breaks it all down. But from Orla, Chametz, and Kloim, that's not a problem. But they could have learned it back to Orla alone and just had a Matzah Shava between the Orla and Klaya Kerem, but we had a problem with Nevela. Armele Rav Mordechai Rav Ashi, Hachi Arminim Shmei Reish Lakish. Kol Matzad Migufu Parchinan, Me'ama Lo Parchinan. You can ask kashas when you have a tzad hashava between the two common things, but to bring a third thing, you can't break a tzad hashava from a third thing like schlepping in the veil. Ihochi teisi b'matzad. So learn it from Orla and Chametz that they're also be'ana. Why did you have to bring kloim in? So because Orla and Chametz mishum dekel lemefrach malat tzad hashava shen shegidu like karka. Both Orla and Chametz grow from the ground. Well, Klai Kerem also grows from the ground. But right now, and hang on. Chametz and Orla grow from the ground, and Basar B'chola does not grow from the ground. Well, Iyachi Ashtanami. Now that you brought Kloim, it can lemifrach malak Klai Kerem she can do like karka. Klai Kerem is also from the ground. Amar lei Rav Mordechai Rav Ashi Yachi Arminim Shmei Reish Lakish. Kol ma'atzad parchinan kol duhu. When you have a tzad hashava, when you have common denominators, anything that you can make a distinction that makes those things different, you can break the tzad hashava. And lo im amrit. And when you say, oh, if you bring that argument, that kavachomer parchinan, that you can break with a kavachomer. But kol duhu lo parchinan. But with just just some kind of difference between them, that will not break the tzad hashava. Afraid to Gemara v'lifrach lekulu. You can knock out Orla, Chametz, and Klein with the same thing. Mala kula sheken kedu like karka. You're not bringing it from somewhere else. You're not bringing it from a kavachomer. Armele Rav Mordechai Rav Ashi hachi amirim shmei Reish Lakish. Hada mechada. When you're learning one din from another, kula v'chumer parchinan. We can ask a kasha based on maybe one is more lenient and one is more stringent. But kol duhu lo parchinan. But just to show that there's a difference, like one that grows from the ground and one others, that's not enough. To say that one is more chomer or more lenient, you can break the comparison. Okay. So tomorrow also 7 o'clock daf. And we'll dive back into Tzurba at 8 o'clock. Okay, everybody?
Okay.
Good luck, everybody. We missed Harold tonight.